Camilla explodes as Prince Louis takes the title from her grandson. Okay, y'all, Prince Louis just snatched a royal title from Queen Camilla's grandson, and let's just say Camilla is not keeping calm. Because trust me, once you see what title Louis got and how long Camilla's been plotting behind the scenes, it'll all start to make sense. Alright, so here's what went down. The royal family recently made a quiet little update, just a small line buried in a royal briefing, but for anyone paying attention, it was a bombshell. It revealed that Prince Louis has been granted a title that hasn't been seen in decades, a historic one that holds serious weight inside the monarchy. Royal watchers caught it instantly. See, this title isn't just a fancy-sounding label for a 5-year-old who still steals the show, pulling faces at official events. It actually comes with layers of royal history, hierarchy, and influence. This isn't the kind of title they hand out like candy. It's been held back for a reason. And here's the kicker. Titles like this are usually reserved for older royals, typically the ones who've already started taking on duties, attending engagements, and being groomed to serve the crown. Louis? He's the third child of William and Kate, the so-called spare to the spare, and yet here he is leapfrogging older family members not just by age but by seniority and tradition. Now I know what you're thinking. Why, Louis? Why would the palace give such a symbolic and historic title to the youngest of the bunch, especially when Camilla's own family, who've been working the sidelines for years, haven't been offered even a sliver of royal status? Well, that's where things start getting messy, and Camilla's years of quiet campaigning start to fall apart. Let's rewind a bit. From the moment Camilla became queen consort, she's been playing the long game when it comes to her family. Now, officially, her children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, don't hold royal titles, and the palace has made it clear they aren't working royals, they're not part of the firm, and they're not in the line of succession. But behind the scenes, Camilla's been planting seeds. She's been trying to gently nudge her family into the royal orbit. Nothing too flashy, but just enough to shift the narrative. You'll notice her grandson Freddie started popping up more at public events. Whether it was Jubilee appearances or Windsor gatherings, Freddie was always positioned just close enough to senior royals to make people ask, wait, who's that kid? It wasn't an accident. According to insiders, Camilla's been quietly lobbying King Charles for years to throw her grandson a bone. A ribbon, a medal, a courtesy title. Anything, not something major like Duke or Lord, but just a gesture. Something that signals her bloodline matters too, now that she's queen. And let's be real, from her perspective, it makes sense. Camilla's married to the king. She's standing beside him at every major event. So in her mind, why shouldn't her grandson be treated with just a bit more respect? A little recognition to show the royal household accepts her family, not just tolerates them. But here's the thing, the firm has been stone cold. It's like there's an invisible wall between Charles's official royal life and Camilla's private family. And then Prince Louis, who nobody even expected to be in this conversation, suddenly gets elevated with a rare title that Camilla's grandson never even got close to. A title she's likely been hinting at for years, now handed to the cheeky little prince who wasn't even old enough to know what it means yet. You can imagine how that went over. Not only did Camilla's subtle campaign go ignored, it was completely overshadowed. Her own grandson, after all her efforts, ends up empty-handed, while Kate's youngest kid just got handed the crown jewel of childhood titles. It's the royal equivalent of getting passed over for a job by someone who just learned how to tie their shoes. And let's not forget, this wasn't just about family pride. For Camilla, it was about legacy, respect, standing shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the royal family, not just as queen consort, but as someone whose lineage matters too. And now, with Louis officially stepping into that spotlight, the quiet war between Camilla and Kate, it just turned into a full-blown title tug-of-war. Now let's talk about the fallout, because when that title announcement dropped, Camilla didn't just roll her eyes and move on. According to Palace insiders, she was visibly shaken. One even said she looked white with rage. And that's a big deal. We're talking about someone who's made a career out of keeping her cool in public, but this hit her in a place no tiara could cover her legacy. And to be clear, it wasn't Louis himself. Camilla doesn't have a personal issue with the kid. In fact, she's been seen laughing with him at public events. But what really cut deep was what this move represented. See, for Camilla, this was a crystal clear message that William and Kate's children are the future of the monarchy, that Diana's bloodline remains front and center, untouched and firmly in place. And most painful of all, that Camilla's own family, her children, her grandchildren, will never be part of that royal core. Even though she's the queen, that title decision reminded her she's still, in many ways, an outsider. Her family was never going to be woven into the firm in any meaningful way, no matter how close they sit at royal weddings or garden parties. And honestly, can you imagine that? Spending years trying to get your family a seat at the table, being so close to the throne you can literally touch it, only to watch the palace hand over a crown, jewel-level title to a 5-year-old who's known for pulling funny faces at balcony appearances? Yeah, I'd be heated too, especially when that title could have gone to anyone else, but instead it went to Diana's grandson, a boy from the line that Camilla's been quietly competing with for acceptance all these years. And this wasn't just a blow to Camilla's pride, it completely shifted the balance of royal power right under her nose. Now let's flip the perspective, because while Camilla was privately spiraling, William and Kate were playing a long game, a very smart one. They weren't loud about it. There was no big media push or flashy campaign, but behind palace doors, they were quietly working to secure solid roles for their kids, especially Louis. And here's the thing, this wasn't about being petty, it wasn't about taking a jab at Camilla, it was about protecting the future of the monarchy on their own terms. William in particular is deeply protective of his mother's legacy. That's not a secret, he's spoken about it openly, and when it comes to his children, he's made it clear he wants them tied to Diana's memory, not tangled up in royal drama or tabloid noise. So giving Louis this rare title, it was deliberate. It sends a subtle but powerful message. This is Diana's legacy now. This is her bloodline continuing the monarchy, not yours, Camilla, not anyone else's. And this wasn't some last-minute move. According to people close to the situation, this had been in the works for months, maybe even longer. Courtiers had carefully mapped out the right moment to make it public. No press storm, no royal portraits, just a line buried in a briefing, quiet, controlled. And that's how you know it wasn't done for attention. It was a chess move, a clean, strategic placement of the next generation on the royal board. While the public was busy swooning over adorable little Prince Louis and his big royal upgrade, Camilla saw the truth. This wasn't just a title for a kid. It was a statement, a reshuffling, a quiet erasure of everything she'd spent years trying to build for her family. And now, behind all the royal smiles and staged photos, the real battle is simmering. Because Camilla's not letting this one go quietly.
I can't remember anybody except the Queen being there.
Now here's where things really start getting tense behind those palace doors. Sources say Camilla's relationship with Kate has gone from politely warm to straight up frosty. They were never best friends, but now even the usual royal niceties feel forced. What used to be a cordial smile for the cameras situation has turned into bare minimum interaction. It's the kind of shift palace staff pick up on real quick. And it's not just about the title. Camilla's starting to feel pushed out, and more importantly, like her family's being completely erased from the long-term royal picture. One insider even claimed she was overheard muttering, "It's like my family doesn't even exist." That's heavy. Especially coming from the Queen consort, someone who at least on paper should feel secure in her role, but behind the scenes, not so much. Another royal source said that at one point King Charles was considering giving a courtesy title to Camilla's grandson, Freddie Parker Bowles, a small symbolic gesture, nothing official, just something to make him feel included. But guess what? William shut that down immediately, and that one decision tells us everything. Because for William, this isn't about making everyone feel welcome or being inclusive for the sake of royal harmony. He sees the crown as a bloodline responsibility, not a blended family project. He's not thinking about step-bred kids or merging households. He's thinking about preserving Diana's legacy, protecting the core line, keeping it clean, direct, and undeniably Windsor. So when Camilla's family gets left out, it's not accidental. It's intentional. It's the result of a quiet but firm divide. On one side, William, Kate, and their kid. On the other, Camilla and her family, who are now clearly watching from the sidelines. And with Prince Louis's shiny new title, that line in the royal sand just became crystal clear. So here's the big takeaway. Prince Louis's title wasn't just some cute royal gesture. It was a red flag depending on which side of the family you're standing on. William and Kate are slowly, quietly reshaping the monarchy without saying a word. And Camilla? She may have the crown, but these days, her influence is fading and she knows it. Her grandkids aren't part of the royal future. Her place in the long game is shrinking fast. Now here's what I want to know. Was this a shady move from William and Kate, or just smart planning for the future of the crown? And do you think Camilla's family should be given a seat at the royal table, or is this just how tradition works? Let me know what you think in the comments, because trust me, this drama's far from over.